Welcome back to the Casting Call CDH podcast. I'm Blake.
I'm Chase, and today we're joined by another special guest.
Hey everybody, I'm Alan with the Atlanta Power 9. We run events in the greater Atlanta area. If you're in the area, please come by to one of our events and join the Discord to see your leaderboard.
Good stuff. And then this is where it goes. Do. No.
For sure.
No, hell yeah. No, dude. Like honestly, like I said, it's kind of like I was saying at the beginning, but I've been enjoying just talking to like other high level players in the space. I say other like we're high level players. That is not true, but like high level players in the space. and it's been fun. So like as I've been going through like my little list of people that I've wanted to reach out to, I obviously like saw your name and I was like, this is perfect. I'm gonna reach out because not only are you a very good player, but you're also a part of like a big local scene that is also still growing, and like you're having more and more players come into the scene. So I felt like it was perfect because I feel like cEDH right now is seeing like this massive boom. And so one of the biggest things that I wanted to like talk and pick your brain on is what have you guys done to, I guess, like grow the Atlanta Power 9, grow like your local scene to have more cEDH players and like other high level players that you can, jam games with and turn to for advice and stuff like that. Like what have y'all done to help grow that scene?
Sure. Well, I appreciate you, consider us good players. Our locals kind of stomp us into the dirt, but I guess in the greater scheme, we do show up consistently to events. I think that makes a difference. But, I think at the beginning of this year, we started to notice that there were some vacancies in stores that weren't running events or were new to doing it. And we wanted to give them a little bit more insight since we're at all of these events and we travel pretty frequently with a group of us. So we kind of see how it runs pretty routinely. So introducing that sort of environment to like our local game stores and impressing them, a couple of times over has grown into what the Atlanta Power 9 is now. So I think we've got a group of maybe like 10-ish folks that, routinely help us put these together. My wife helped make a banner and the branding. It all looks flashy and cool. So that gets attention. She helps make all of these posters for us. The behind the scenes reaching out to stores and all of that, it takes a little bit more time than I thought it would, but putting it all together is pretty gratifying. So a lot of the Tennessee folk and I have conversed on like how they've been successful in doing it. And I've, taken some aspects from them too, but it's a really big community drive, man.
What made y'all like, how did the Atlanta Power 9 actually get started? Like where was it just somebody like came up with the idea with it and then it just kind of grew from there? Or was it a group of people that collaborated and started it? Like how did that come to be?
Yeah, I think it kind of started out as a joke. We wanted like the 9 best players in like the area to like make a team. And then we were like, well, we're a team that has no locals. So maybe we, also put on events for folks. So it kind of snowballed into us putting on these like smaller events that have grown. And I think the last 2 or 3 silvers have been, a few people shy from hitting gold. So that would be nice if we could get, that far within our first year of putting these on.
Nice, dude.
Oh, yeah, dude, that'd be awesome. And as you're talking about these things, like I couldn't help but think about this. Like last week on the podcast, we sat down and we talked to Zarek MTG, he from Ohio, and then one of the guys, Jake Kelly from Louisville, and kind of talking about this idea of like growing the local scene and like, just kind of talked about some of even the struggles that Zarek dealt with in Ohio, some of the struggles that we have been dealing with here in Kentucky. Like, I know you're talking about like you got this group of people together and just being able to like help really push some of these smaller stores and put on these events. Did you experience like any kind of like pushback on some of that stuff in the beginning?
Yeah, some stores aren't faceted towards doing Commander or even cEDH sort of work. There is another local store who I, made a cold call. Hey, are you guys interested in this? No, we're a Pokemon store exclusively, and they just hung up. So, simple as that. But the network of people that play cEDH, they're like, hey, my store has like 2 or 3 people. If you want to come over here and host something, they'd be interested. And that's really how we get our in, is by word of mouth and people trying to grow their game stores. And they have their, their Friday Night Magics, whether it be casual Commander or something else. They do have a scene, and we kind of corral those people into the greater Atlanta Power 9 Discord now, so they can play Spell Table, they can travel with us, but not every store wants to do cEDH, and that's perfectly fine. I don't think everybody needs to do it, but if you want to do it, we can get you in touch with those folks.
That's actually really interesting, because like we've been trying to make some better efforts to like grow our local scene, and that's actually interesting because I've not thought about going to some of these other events that are not necessarily like local specifically to Bowling Green, Kentucky in our area, but maybe going to like some of these other areas that host events like Somerset and Louisville, Elizabethtown, maybe like just some of these places, and have like get those players into our Discord, and then have them actually come down to our area, or like go into them and trying to grow, not necessarily like Bowling Green, but growing Kentucky itself as a whole. Like that's super interesting, because I think that we've got, me and Chase had a goal when we first started the channel that we wanted to help grow like the Bowling Green scene specifically. But I think it would be really cool to see Kentucky have some really high level players come out of it, especially with the high level players that are coming from like this whole area. Like you have guys like Zarek and people like Andy Beach and other just like insane players, Ty Ohio, and like just so many people that are like high level players out of Ohio. You have people like Kellen over in Nashville, and like Sean and Brandon and like other people down there. And then, I mean, even you, like this was your second year in a row, right? Going to the Invitational.
Yeah, but I've also been playing Commander for a very long time, and the gradual slope of playing casually and then heating up the water until we're at cEDH level, I think was the experience most people get. But I've 2 times in a row now, maybe this year 3, we'll see, but I'm in my graduating year, so I'm kind of on the back burner with cEDH right now.
I got you. I am curious, as somebody that has been playing cEDH for a while, and also as somebody who has been to the Invitational multiple times now at this point, how have you noticed, I guess, like the game itself change? Like, do you feel like the players are like leveling up and you're seeing better people start to like, I guess, like show up into the space, and like, do you feel better about the games, or do you feel like it's the opposite? Do you feel like the meta's in shambles and like people are just jamming and like there's nobody taking it serious? Like, how do you feel currently about like just the state of cEDH?
I think personally, like player evolution, I'm glad where I currently am. We used to play pickup games of Commander, and playing any sort of interaction, people would freak out, and the casual response of, "Oh, why'd you kill my Commander? I'm just going to spike play you this whole game." I'm glad to see that that's less of a commonality now, and people actually assessing threats and saying, "Hey, I think blowing up something on their board would actually put them behind because they're in the lead. They have a board state that's crazy, heuristics in play." But over the years of seeing the transitions of the ban lists, what Commander was and what it is, Thassa's Oracle is a crazy card. That's a really cool one that's really stuck around. Maybe it gets banned to the next year. And then we just go back to doing it old-fashioned lab man style, which I used to think was the best way to do it. So combos I don't think are going anywhere anytime soon. Maybe the return of Isochron Scepter is something we see if Thassa's Oracle goes away, or maybe some other deck diversity if Breach goes with it. But it's been cool to see. I don't think right now it's like in a tumultuous state or anything like that. I think there's a constant flow of new people getting into it, especially with the Universes Beyond and all of these other what are the IPs and extremity sets that people really want to just play the game for that sake. Mm-hmm. So they have to get over this immense learning curve of what cEDH is if they want to play it. So there's a constant learning for those new players, but I'm not upset with where it is.
I got you.
Well, and even as you're talking about some of those things, like, I guess I'm going to kind of go backwards just a little bit on something that you said, as far as like being able to reach out to certain shops and like maybe there's a couple people that are really interested in cEDH, but maybe they don't have, that outlet or anything like that. And you talking about like putting this community together because you talked about it in your own experience of like you start playing long enough, there's going to be this idea of power creep. There's going to be this whole like, I want to push it to that next level for myself, or I want to be playing with more powerful things. And so it's cool that you guys have kind of constructed this group in a way where it is trying to bring people into the scene, but giving an outlet for people that genuinely want to get better or may not have access to that within their own like just local scene. And so I feel like that really does kind of tie into what you're talking about there of like, there are going to be new people like constantly, not just getting into cEDH, but the game just in general because of everything that all the IPs, the amount of product that's just being released, which is personal take. I think it's dumb that that so much product is being released like every single year, but you can't argue the numbers at times where it brings a whole lot of people in. So I think it's awesome that you guys are making those efforts to like truly foster this community of not just like getting people involved, but even it sounds like to some extent finding newer players and finding people that are genuinely interested in it and providing a home for them. So I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, of course. The new players that want to play their set exclusive, like with the Final Fantasy, there was a huge influx of players. Maybe they just wanted to get their collector item and then go. But the people that did stay and want to learn, I think the easiest transition to get them to stay longer is to be that welcoming community. And, we want to really be those pillars of the community that like really grow the format, grow the game. And we've made, since I want to say, how long have we been doing this in Atlanta? Like 2 years now. I remember I met this community about 2.5, maybe 3 years ago at this point. Knew nobody. At this point, we know hundreds of people like across the country, not just in Atlanta. But it's been super cool to like have that,
Heck yeah, dude. I am curious because, like, obviously, as two people that are trying to grow our local scene, one of the biggest hurdles that we have ran into here specifically in Kentucky is like proxy issues, like people being anti-proxy. Did y'all ever run into anything like that whenever y'all were first getting into the format, or like when y'all were trying to get some of these shops and stuff on board or other players on board?
Yeah, that was an issue much earlier on in like my own Magic career. Is proxies and fake cards were a frowned upon thing, and everybody wanted to bling out their deck. So I inherited that sort of problem set. But I'm 100% cool with proxies. I think that I would rather somebody not invest $10,000 into a deck just to see if you like it. I think it would be a lot more efficient to test something before you spend the money on it, just to see if it's worth doing. Because if you invest that sort of money and you don't even end up playing Magic for a long term, well, that's kind of a poor return on investment. Now you have to sell a duel at like maybe 60% of the portion you bought it. But as far as like turning heads for stores that want to be no proxy and to convert them to being proxy, there was a place that wanted to run their event without proxies. We said that's perfectly fine. You can do that, but you would have a much better turnout. And then the Atlanta Power 9 and our folks, we helped boost their attendance to that event. We all placed top 10. All top 10 was us. We ended up winning the event, splitting, and then going home, getting dinner. And for their next event, they listened to our advice, and I think they had 50 plus people in the door just because the proxy policy.
See,
So
that's
that was enough to convince them.
Stuff like that is so awesome because like we have some pretty big shops here in Kentucky, like and again, not to rehash stuff that we talked about last week, but which would technically be this week, but like there's a big shop through the decades that it could literally host like a 300 person event, like easy. I mean, it's a massive store. And I think the biggest cEDH event that they've had, because they're like, not only are they like not proxy friendly, they're like 100% no proxy. So they literally, I think the biggest event that we've seen over there was like 51 players. and they're gonna be hosting, I think, a Land Go event pretty soon over there. That's gonna be like a gold event, and I'm almost certain they have said that it's also going to be like no proxy, which is just crazy. So I didn't know. Like, I was curious y'all's experience with that. Like, whenever y'all were first trying to get other shops and stuff on board with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could be. I don't even know how you could convince them if they're dead set on it. There's no amount of being personable or friendly that would change their mind. Maybe from a financial aspect, if your entry price is $50, that's X amount of $50 that you're missing that people could just proxy something and be in the door. But at the end of the day, it's their decision and what they want to do, and we can't make it for them.
I got you.
Right.
Now, I am also curious because I was, again, dude, like I snoop. So I was looking at some of your like the tournament results and like history and stuff like that. What, like, I know whenever you went to the MV in 2024, you took farm, and then this year when you went to the MV, you took is TNT. What prompted that decision to like go TNT over farm? Because I know you play a ton of farm.
Yeah, I have been on farm. I've been on Sans Green Pile since the Commanders partners have released, and it's just my favorite color pairings. But after the bans happened, it kind of dawned on me of, man, I've kind of grown stagnant in being a specialist in this one deck, and it's also what everybody doesn't like about the format. Maybe I should branch out and see what else is good. So we have a friend in our locals, John, who is kind of the spearhead of the Isuka Discord and putting up results with Isuka, 5-color combo and turbo. It's a very efficient deck. I tried that for a while. I had some good results. I think it is really good. It didn't quite fit my play style, so I tried out TNT. Sit back, relax, mid-range game planned, post bans, so we didn't have to worry about dockside. We could just use the Hazel Brewmaster combo. But I also discovered a casual card that I had joked around and played with in TNT called Heartwood Storyteller. And it's a fish for everyone. And I don't think in my tournament results I've ever lost a game with it in play, but I've won or drawn every game that it's been cast. And those are results I got to stick with. It's a very fun card. A lot of people hate it. Max P, shout out my guy. He did not have a good time at the Invitational playing against that. I think he jammed 4 wind attempts into Heartwood Storyteller. A result of each spell being cast, the 3 opponents drawing a card every time. So the stack war, I think we were going into overtime. Writing was on the wall. We just took the draw there.
Yeah.
That almost sounds like that was your answer. Like where so many people were taking Blue Farm and jamming Mayhem Devil into it to counter the meta. It sounds like this was your answer within TNT. Just like,
yeah,
yeah, that's awesome.
I had a very good run earlier this year with it. I think maybe from February through March, where I either topped or won, I think 4 or 5 different events. And it was just so much fun having a Heartwood, Smothering Tithe, Bowmaster. We have Flash, Kin and Fairy Mastermind in board. We just had every value engine needed. So, living Magic Christmas land with it in play, obviously. But Roxai was not winning any game with Heartwood in play. They could not jam a win attempt.
That's so funny, dude. Stuff like that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love cards.
I would recommend it. Don't get me wrong.
I love cards that like I've always said, and that's one of the reasons why and we could probably dive into that discussion too if you even want to, but like I kind of like cards that are like Dockside and Ristic and Tithe and stuff like that essentially break parity on the fact that you have multiple opponents. Like I think that our format is like so unique because like these cards that say like when an opponent does something, they are just so much better here in Commander, let alone like cEDH, because like we are taking the most game actions in cEDH. Like we are essentially taking a full blown Commander game and condensing it down into like less turns, maybe not less time. Some games go to 11 hours, but less turns. And, and because of that, like it's just, I don't know. I like cards like that. I think that they don't really have a home anywhere else. So I like when they have a home here, but I know you brought up Thassa's Oracle earlier, and Chase, if I talk too much, just tell me to shut up so you can like get some questions in. But like, how do you feel currently with like the potential, I guess, like bans coming up? Or like, they're not saying they're going to ban it, but they're just saying like, hey, watch out, we may. Like, how do you feel about the cards that may be on the chopping block, or like some of the new rules changes and things like that may be happening?
Sure. I think Thassa's Oracle was revolutionary when it came out because Labman and Jace were just extinct immediately. The next best thing was light years away. But Thassa's Oracle just having a trigger you need to put on the stack, yeah, that made it so much easier. As far as seeing it banned, I don't know whether or not I'm for or against it. I'm sort of indifferent about it, to be honest. If Blue Farm loses that, they just breach, mill out the table, then wheel. I guess you don't have to worry about getting wombo comboed like turn 1 or turn 2 by it, and that's just like a feels bad moment. You know, I've had a couple of games with friends where I just had a turn 2 Thoracle and nobody had anything, and the game's just over. So maybe that's not sort of the play pattern they want, but we've also played some other formats where Thassa's Oracle is the win con, and Dimir Thoracle Control is a really cool Canlander deck. I've not actually gotten to win against it yet, but it's fun. As far as the other proposed changes, I think it's risky letting Ral have Manamorphose or Blue Form have Manamorphose. What else is there? There's also Vexing Shusher, which I think would be a problem. Deathrite would be an interesting, weird issue because of the pips being in the text box, but I don't know. It's a can of worms I think they're going to have to sort out, and I don't really know how they're going to do that without making a bigger problem out of it, you know?
I got you.
I completely agree with that. I think even a couple of weeks ago when we talked about this, like briefly talked about the hybrid mana stuff, and those were the two cards that I brought up that just come to mind immediately is the Manamorphose and the Vexing Shusher being problematic. I think I even made the comment of like what happens if Rogsai picks both those up, right? They take out Defense Grid and put in Vexing Shusher potentially, like make it even more one-sided. I don't want this person to have this counter wars going on, so I can interact just by paying 1 red and making the counter like uncounterable basically, and like all these other things, and then protect my own win. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is going to be something that if they do implement it, and it's maybe they'll just keep it at the lower brackets, but I think it will be something that's a lot more problematic in our space. But something that you did brought up just a little bit ago, like you were saying, you played a game the other day and like you resolved a turn 2, like Thassa's demonic consultation went unanswered, things like that. Like we were just talking about the invitational like a little bit ago, where you were saying like with your TNT build, you were sitting back on these value engines. Everyone was playing, like just about everyone was playing Blue Farm, but that top 4 par was what top 4 par being Blue Farm. I feel like it was really right after the Invitational we saw this huge shift, right, where people like just got tired of kind of sitting back on the value engine stuff and they're just jamming like Ral. Atali winning the Steel City like this during the same weekend, and then has continued to just jam and whatnot. Like, and I'm sure like those are the 2 prominent ones that come to mind for me at the moment. But do you feel like you've kind of shifted even like some of your play styles, like whether you're playing TNT or you're playing Blue Farm or whatever it might be? Like, how are you adjusting to this much faster turbo-y meta right now?
Well, free game action of politicking and gaslighting your opponents is always available to you. But Rockside, the play patterns I'm familiar enough with to know what to expect out of a turn 1 win attempt. We know where the point of interaction is. But I think the worst thing, jokingly, to happen to cEDH is Atali winning the Open, because there are so many Atali pilots now, and it's insane because I have to respect the Atali player almost, if not more than the Rockside player, because you could just win turn 1 and the line is so much more obfuscated than it would have been if it were Rockside. Because you're going to hit 4 cards at random off the top of people's libraries, and I don't know what it's going to, is this the flip to interact on, or is the next flip to interact on? I only have one Mind Break trap. And we have another local, she had, what was it? I think it was a turn 1 win attempt. She was in C2. She had a turn 1 Atali that flipped into like a voice, 2 other things, and another Atali clone. She puts the voice into play. The Atali clone hits her food chain and someone else's demonic tutor. She just goes and gets squee and wins the game. I'm like, oh my God, that's disgusting, Roxai could never, but Atali can definitely pull some stuff out their ass to win the game turn 1. It is very impressive, though. It takes a lot of skill to know those lines, but man, I never thought Gruul Dinosaur would do this in 2025,
Well, I mean, no, that's understandable. But like Atali's just like oops all decks. Like if you think about it, like it's a 5-color commander, like just with 2 colors. So, but yeah, no, like, and I feel like that's kind of what we're seeing a whole lot. Like especially when we're doing the tournament breakdowns, like we haven't seen Atali pop up too much here recently within like the top 16 breakdowns that we have, like maybe like once every other week or something like that. But a ton of Ral, ton of Vivi still, like all these like Is It Storm decks starting to pop up, things like that. And I don't know, are there any other like turbo decks that maybe are kind of on your radar that's just like, now I have to respect this deck?
I think most immediately it's still going to be Atali. We do have some VV locals, but I don't get the opportunity to play against them too much. I know a couple of RAL players, and I think the best 2 that come to mind, one would be Pigeon, and another is Hayward out of South Carolina. I remember we were in a top pod with him. We stopped him 4 times, and it came down to, man, I really hope he misses these next 4 flips so we can like live another turn. Nah,
Yeah.
he hits it every time, man. He's a great route pilot, but that's another deck that's just hard to interact on because you want to counter this cantrip or the next one. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna flip Ral soon.
No, it's so funny because like I think that I don't know how to explain it. Like I love I guess like the theory crafting part of cEDH, like just talking about, I don't know, like it's the stuff that's like it's like the minutia, like the little percentages. But I just like talking about that stuff because like at the end of the day, I think the best way to get better at the game is obviously like playing more games, getting reps, and then like obviously like intentional practice, like with anything, just being intentional. Like you can go for a run, but if you don't have any intention behind it, like you're not gonna you're just gonna consistently like maybe like incremental, but like the intentionality is what's best for it. But I think that a lot of these people now, man, like they're jamming because they got kind of tired of people just like throwing games. Like there are people like there's always like a turbo deck at the table, and you can try your best to influence them. Like, hey, look, you're not gonna get there. Please don't do it. And they'll still go for it, and it just doesn't matter. And then the next like mid-range deck just gets there, like whoever's in first in seed order. And so I think a lot of people just got tired of that because people weren't listening, and now everybody's like, screw it, I'm gonna be turbo. And if I end up in a like lower seed order, like seat rotation, then I'm just gonna let the first guy jam. He won't get there, and then I'll get there. People are just tired of it.
I think that feeds into maybe the reason that Ristic Study is an issue is, if you have a turn 1 Ristic Study, whoever jams first is going to feed the Ristic, of course, unless somebody blows it up. And then they end up not getting there by some means, and the table goes, well, the Ristic player is obviously just going to fucking win, right? And, there's no amount of talking the Roxai or the Turbo deck off from jamming at that point. I think the damage is already done. Mm-hmm. And, of course, they're not going to take the draw. They have a million cards in hand, but yeah, I don't know what to do with that. Maybe you got to talk to people as a pregame action, guys. Please don't feed the Ristics.
There was a game that I was in. I think this is whenever we went to. It was like a Clarksville tournament, and Gold Sabertooth Tim. He just happened to be like he was a big like draw to that event because he was there. He was signing stuff and selling stuff. It was really cool. But I ended up going to that event, and I got to chat with him and take some pictures and stuff like that. So it was really fun. But when I showed up, he was just telling me he was just playing Rocco, and he was just like jamming. And I asked him, I was like, "Why are you playing Rocco?" And he even told me, he was like, "I'm expecting to like have people want to say hi and like see me and stuff." So he said, "I'm just trying to get out of there." He's like, "I'm either gonna just like win or I'm just gonna be like, okay, like whatever happens." And our very first game was, or my very first game was like pod one. I was seat one on Zer. I'm like playing against him, and this blue farm just slams turn one Ristic study, like turn one Ristic. Tim didn't give a fuck, dude. He just jammed with Rocco and got there. Literally, the dude drew his whole deck and did not matter because he was like, "You literally have nothing. You're tapped out." He's like, "You're not gonna go over top of me." He's like, "You're gonna mind break trap Squeak.
Right.
Doesn't matter." He's like, "You mind break trap Rocco. Doesn't matter. Like, I'm just gonna get there." And so he just jammed and he got there. And I was like, "This is ridiculous." Like, I didn't even like. I got. Thankfully, I was seat one, so I got to see turn two. But like the blue farm player jams turn one Ristic, and that feels amazing, and didn't even get to see his turn two.
Yeah, turn two is a privilege. I mean, they joke about turbo decks being called like a smoke break deck, where I'm either winning or I'm not, but the rest of whatever happens is the table's problem. Rocco is, I could see fitting that archetype of just get your combo online as soon as possible.
Hell yeah.
Well, yeah, like even in the example that Blake just gave, like the issue is the food chain. Like if you don't have an issue for the food chain and you have the other two pieces, like Mind Break Trap's not going to do anything because you just cast both Commander and Squee from exile, like Force of Will and Pact Nation. Like those are the main three like sources of interaction that people are going to be running to even deal with the creatures technically. And by that point in time, it's already too late. Like
Yeah, and Rocco's
he's made all the mana.
play too, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that kind of brings up the point. Like we've talked about Rao, Atali, Rocco, Rogsai. I kind of feel like again, those might be like the biggest things that we're seeing currently in the meta as far as just like straight up jamming, putting up really good results. Like, I guess what more people like traditionally think of what cEDH is, where it's like if it even makes it to turn three. What are your thoughts on like how do we get out of that now? Like people complain so much about this mid-range hell. Now we're in turbo, and then people are like, fuck, we need to slow down.
Yeah. I mean, two natural paths I think that will happen is people will overcorrect for the turbo and just start running more interaction, or God forbid, a stacks piece. We hate seeing those, but we had a Time player move recently, miss Sean, but he definitely helped slow it down, even though he wasn't on a lot of stacks pieces. One rule of law would do it, or you see people just mull low for a quicker win. I don't know. Just try and be faster than them.
Oh, he's got the baby screaming at him, I think.
All good.
Oh,
All
no
good. I'm listening. I'm listening while also like listening, so it's all good.
Okay, if you're listening, what all did he say?
He was talking about stacks, and then he said his buddy that was a time pilot moved away, and now I've got a cat interrupting me as I'm talking.
It's okay. I'm just making sure. He's not very good at multitasking and doing
I'm awful.
things at the same time.
But no, honestly, I think that's one of the cool things right now with the turbo, like the meta getting a little more turbo, is that you're starting to see a little bit of stacks make a resurgence, because like, but I feel like it's so tough, man. I think that right now you kind of see, I don't know how to explain it. Like you have decks like you've played a ton of farm, and so like that deck is just so good. Like I love Esper, and I have recently picked up Grixis because I feel like I need to learn turbo as an archetype. And so I resolved like my very first turn one win on Rogsai the other night, and got like, it was just insane. I was like, this should not happen. How am I looking at 7 cards and they win the game? Meanwhile, in Esper, I could look at 20 cards and still not win the game. So like, it just sucks. But I think that it's like, I feel like Blue Farm is kind of like this own, it's like it's this very unique thing where like out of every deck, like it is going to draw the best cards. So and then it just needs to like slant a little bit in any direction. Like I even feel like if you wanted to play like a stacks farm, like there would be a way to do that. I mean, it would have to, somebody would brew it and then it would be relevant. But like it's such a good deck. And then all of the decks that are actually able to like break parity on farm because it just draws the best cards. It feels like it's a lot of decks that just put activations rather than like casting stuff like Sisay, things like Magda, things like Tyam, these decks that like, or Kennen, like these decks that don't have to just constantly like jam tons of tons of combo pieces into their value engines. They just get to like activate. Like if you're not going to do anything, I'm just going to continue to put these activations. You're not going to have anything to answer it. So I'm just curious. Like I don't know. I think that it would be interesting if I don't know. I'm curious to see if we get to a point to where like Stacks all of a sudden makes a resurgence and we like see a Stacks farm. Like I think that could be like so interesting to see. Do you think that would even be like good?
I think you'd be more likely to see control variants of farm versus a Stacks farm, just because it's got that backup plan of storming off, doing the Underworld Breach combo, or I mean, really, I think farm only has 2 win cons, and the rest of the deck goes and tutors the win cons or protects the win cons, and that's what makes it, unique. But the blue farm shell, like if you look at anyone's blue farm list, it'll be no more than maybe 10 to 12 cards of variants, and then the rest of them are just all the same stuff. It's a very good pile of cards. But the inevitability of like a Sisay and Magda, I think, those are a little more linear and consistent, and where farm sacrifices that sort of consistency, it makes up for in being a predatory kind of deck where, yeah, we don't have a turn 1 Dork, but, a turn 1 Rystic's still pretty good, and we hope we get a turn 2. And whatever we draw off the top, like, we kind of joke in our local meta, me and a couple of the other farmers, you just need 1 tutor to win the game, and then you can just do that.
Yep.
Demonic Tutor is a 1-card combo in our deck. With a great count of 7 minimum, you can just win the game.
So good. So good. Do you...
Yeah, I do unfortunately think things will continue to shift towards farm until there's a big enough deterrent that people don't want to play farm,
Okay.
But we'll see. What were you going to say? Sorry.
No, you're good, man. I was actually going to make a comment because I saw, I forgot where I saw this at, but it said, it was like Atlanta Power 9, and then it said Alan yapping. Is that mainly your strategy whenever you go into games? Like, are you way more like mid-range slanted and like very big on politics, or do you actually like try to go turbo? People are just like talking shit.
It depends on what the pot is. If I've been seat 1 and the hand is just good enough, yeah, we're just going to jam it. But I do enjoy the social aspect of the game, and that's why I play cEDH. Is for at least 80 minutes, I can talk to 3 other people, and it's kind of like a hostage simulator. So you guys can't go anywhere until this game's over. So we get to have some fun, and I try to be personable. Some people don't have a good time, but I try to make every game enjoyable. That's, part of being a member of the community is I want people to have a good time. Even if I'm losing, I'm going to have a good time, but it does feel good to win. But if anyone ever wants me to shut up or stop talking, I'm more than happy to stop and let them take actual game actions.
See, this is where Blake needs to learn from you because he never shuts up, even if you ask him to. but like... I don't know. There's something I was kind of thinking about as you were talking about that, and then I insulted Blake. But it was like along the lines of like Blue Farm itself, and I feel like that's where not just with us, but every podcast currently is just talking about right now is like Blue Farm. But how do you not talk about whenever it is literally the best deck in the format? Like you were saying, like if your opening hand is good enough, you're just gonna jam it. But it's that deck that just like you see so many cards, and how you were talking about how really there might be like 5 to 10-ish card difference between different decks, but for the most part it's the same like 90-ish cards across the board. Like it just pivots so well to the not just the table but any point in the game. Like you just sit back on your value engines and accrue this, not just value but all these cards, and it's just like it feels like I think we've kind of talked about it in a way where it's like one of the more like forgiving decks at times in the format, just because of the consistency that it does have and the things it's capable of doing. And like, I think unfortunately, like people overlook that a lot. And I think that's why it's probably one of the best. Like we're scared of all these turbo decks at the moment, but outside the turbo decks, if they're not getting there, it's the blue farm deck. And I think that it's either when we talked with Kellen or maybe when we did a gameplay with Kellen and Matt Hayes, and like the comments being made of like, why are we letting the blue farm be the police at the table? Like why are we letting this happen? And, like people like almost have this like scared feeling going up against, or not necessarily going up against blue farm, but just like, oh, if we don't let blue farm draw cards here, then the game's going to be over with. Well, if blue farm draws the cards here, they're going to be the ones winning now. So like, I don't know, it's such a good deck.
Yeah, it's I think, you know, Commander might be a good example of like a prisoner's dilemma of we need to work together until someone's winning, and then it's no longer a free for all, it's a 3v1. So your comment about like blue farm being the best deck, I think generally it's just the most consistent into every pod. I don't personally think it's the best deck, it's just the one I'm most comfortable on. And I think somebody on a deck that they are more comfortable with versus what would be deemed the best deck is far better than the best deck ever could be. So, like you just mentioned, Kellen, I think Kellen on his Mardu list would be the best version of Kellen out there. Or like, who's another great Kinnan pilot? We got Waffle. Waffle on Kinnan, probably light years better than me on Kinnan ever would be. So, like, if you get the personality and the deck together, that's just going to be a lot smoother sailing for them than anything else. So, but letting farm be the police of the table, I think is what's the analogy? A wolf's in sheep clothing. Yeah, we're all on the same team until now it's blue farm's turn, and I've drawn 4 cards off heuristic study trying to stop the other person. You also have that what is it? The win on top with breach and born upon a win. Someone else is going to try and stop them. Do you guys have any interaction? I sure do, guys. Don't worry. I'll win instead.
Well, absolutely. Oh.
Say what you're going to say, Chase. You're good. Say what you're going to say.
I wasn't going to say anything. You just froze.
Oh, no. Oh,
on my end.
I thought you were about to say something, so I just like literally stopped where I was at. I was like, no, but no. Like, I do think it's funny. I think that it's so crazy because I feel like just this year, I mean, this year feels like it has been super long. I know some people probably feel like it has flown by, but just as people who like make content, like every time I look at the podcast number next to like the episode, I'm like, it's really been only that many episodes. It blows my mind sometimes. Like I think that this will technically, Jake's and Them's I think will be like our 45th. This will be our 46th podcast episode for the year. Is that right?
Okay.
You edited. I mean,
I don't care. But regardless, yeah. But like, it's just so funny because I think that I feel like the understanding on the format, like my understanding has just gotten like so much better, and it's so just over this year, and it is so crazy because I feel like Blue Farm, literally, Zach Adler said it best. It's like nines in every category. Like there's no like 10 anywhere. It's just nines across the board. So like it's able to pivot to whatever game plan it wants to do and be really good at that game plan. Like it may not draw as many cards as like Shorkai or be as fast as Rogsai, but it's like way better at control than Rogsai could ever be, or way better at control than like Turbo than like this Esper deck, you know, could ever be, or way better at, you know, just whatever, like insert category thing. But it's also, it can just be like so unassuming. Like it, you know what I mean? Like if you look over and you see Sisay and Sisay's at 5 mana when they untap, you're like, oh crap, that could be really bad. But like farm with heuristic is like really bad. People just don't realize it until like the Grand Abolisher comes down and you're like, damn it, I don't have one of my 3 counter spells that hit that. Like I'm cooked.
Yeah, that's true. I guess playing against farm is maybe the next concept. Don't believe them. That's just the easiest way to do it. Whenever you're making a deal with them, like a Tataru, hey guys, can I may draw the card? And their blue farm's got their hand up. Just say no. Just do somebody else. Their card quality is just so much better. Atali, go ahead and draw the card and win the game.
I have literally found that it's so funny because I run so much interaction in my deck. Like it's a lot. I mean, I'm on Zur. It's just Esper. It's not good, but I love the deck, so I'm determined to like win an event with it eventually. Like I finally top 16. I'm happy with that, but like Nexus top 4.
Nice.
But the big thing for me is like I literally need like 2 Ristic studies to keep up with farms like 1 Ristic study. Like it's dumb. Like I've had stack battles against like Matt Hayes and like other people. Like I was playing an event against like Corbin, and like Corbin whipped my ass 2 games in the same day on farm. And I was like, I just couldn't keep up. But like whenever I finally have like 2 Ristic studies, I'm able to, you know, like break that parity, and like I can at least keep up. But even then it's still hard. It's just so crazy. I feel like how good the like how good everything kind of synergizes with that deck. Like I've said before, it takes spells that aren't necessarily like modal and turns them into modal spells. Like Mayhem Devil is removal, but it can also be like a draw engine with Timna, and it can also be like essentially like you said, like a control piece or a win con with something like a Storm Kiln and something crazy going on. You know, like all these different ways of, or you know, like the Red Blast and like the Pyroblast. They're counter spells, but they're also technically like removal for some of the most powerful stuff in the game. Like it can kill the Ristic, it can hit the Thoracle, it can hit some of these other things that normally are a little bit harder to like interact with, or like even after the Ristic's been cast, you're kind of like, well, okay, now I just got to play around it. Whereas like Farm could just be like, well, no, it's gone, bye bye. Like it just, I don't know, it's so good. But I think I'm curious in your opinion, like, do you think that a Ristic ban would actually like hurt Farm that bad?
Probably not, to be honest with you. We would just move on to the next best replacement. I've joked over the last year that when Ristic Study goes away, Heartwood Storyteller stocks are going to go way up. So it's just a green version of it, you know? And it's on a creature, notably, much harder to counter. It's not blue, so Red Blast, Fire Blast is not going to hit it.
That's so good. I'm definitely going to have to slot this into something.
I don't know what would really change up Farm, because with the release of each set, you know, me and a couple other people, we joke, like, when is Blue Farm going to get another good card finally, as if it needs it. But I think giving tools to other decks is kind of difficult, because if they're in the color pie of Sans Green, Blue Farm's going to try to find a way to absorb it and homogenize it. But sometimes it's just not good enough, you know. Are you guys up to speed with like Avatar: The Last Airbender and the releases?
I've been keeping up with a lot of the stuff coming out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got Cabbage Man. He's a pretty good utility for TNT. Makes a lot of foods. We have, you guys know Jacob Spooky?
Yeah.
Yep. He's building a Bant Aang, and it's like a Garuda combo. So if one Aang resolves with a doubler in play, it basically flips the whole deck and wins the game. Yeah. It's funny to play against. I won't spoil too much else beyond that, but there's a lot of innovation with some of these upcoming sets, and I think maybe, you know, people would be more interested in playing that versus playing an established deck. But tinkering with Farm at this rate, I don't think much else is going to change until the bans happen, you know?
I got you.
Right. And I feel like if there are any kind of potential bans, like I'm kind of in the same like camp as you are. I don't feel like a Thassa's ban would impact Farm. I don't think Ristic ban would impact Farm. I think the only ban that would truly like impact Farm is like literally you just ban partners. I think that's the only. And then at what you just play Brea, just have the Sans Green, and you just focus on the 99.
If we were gonna do that, Brea's not even like the best commander. I think the next step would just be 5-color. Just go play 5-color Essica, you know?
No, I totally agree. But that's why you see like Asika, Terra, and even like the clam chowder builds for like Sisay. Like they're playing those cards and they're basically playing blue farm and including green for things like dorks and then like Tinderwall, and that's like really it. Maybe like an additional like protected win through like a Veil of Summer, or like being able to have another card draw engine like Sylvan Library or something like that. But for the most part, it is still a blue farm shell.
Yeah. The advantage of also having Crop Rot into E-Zone for your your Necropotence lines, you're just win on top. It's also a really good utility. They do have access to Mana Morphos currently, so you've got the Mana Fixer. If you just have 1 black, we can convert it. We can get 3 black. Yeah, 5-color soup is just always going to be good.
I honestly think
Yeah.
that like I had it and then I lost it. It was something to go along with that, but no, like I honestly feel like if there was a card that makes farm, it really just feels like it's Breach. Like I feel like it just has all of the best tools to see a ton of cards, make a ton of mana, and then combo with Breach. And then mid range is just kind of like the safest option, I feel like, because Turbo requires like an element of luck to it. Like in Rogsai, I feel like you either find a insane early hand that's gonna like just spit out a ton of mana and try to win the game, or you have a god awful mid range plan. And I think that's why Kefka has kind of been showing up more and doing pretty well, because like it at least has a mid range plan. But Farm has like the turbo option, but it's just so good at mid range. And then Breach is like you said, it's just any one tutor finds you the win con, and then you just use Breach to abuse the tutor to go find the other pieces to the win con. But I don't obviously want to see Breach go, because I want to see more win. I would rather see more diversity of like win cons in the format rather than just like everything kind of get homogenized. I think that if Farm got hit, then I think everything really does just become like Turbo Soup and Kinnan.
Yeah, I think we're more inclined to see unbans than bans at this current rate. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. You know, maybe we get Jolo's Mana Crypt back. You know, that'd be neat. If they unban Golos, I certainly think that I would probably be playing that instead. You know, if you get really lucky, I've already bought an extra one, but Academy, if a Tolarian Academy, let that come off the ban list, man. We'll have some fun. Man, that's such a good card.
Oh yeah, I can finally make mana in my Esper deck. No,
Yeah, you'll make a little bit. I'll tell you that.
yeah.
I've learned so much from playing some other formats. Like a couple of groups are into Canadian Highlander, and
Yeah.
Landgo is starting to do some side events for it. If you guys haven't played or watched any, it's super fun. It's I would describe it as like vintage Cube almost, or no ban list commander 1v1. You get to just play some really busted cards. Maybe we see the unban of Paradox Engine. That would go crazy.
That would be ridiculous. That like I've played a couple games of like no ban list commander, and that shit is like actually insane. Like it's nutty.
I do miss it. I played Commander when those were still legal, and looking back, those games were super unfair, but I had a good time, you know?
Do you have you put any I don't know, like some people say they're just trolling, but have you seen where they have like a Dockside reprint in the Avatar set?
Yeah, I have seen that. I'm curious why they taunt us like this, you know?
I was curious. I didn't know if you had put any thought into it, if you had any predictions or any theories.
I don't know. I don't feel like they would give that back just because of the uproar it caused, and you know, a bunch of people either sold their stuff, or some folks I know just kind of quit playing the game. I know Corvold players aren't having a good time with it being gone, but they've adapted and are still playing it. But I don't know. It's good flavor, and maybe, you know, because the R&D team, these are set out years in advance. Maybe they weren't necessarily fully aware of that, and this was already something in the works. So we're just kind of lagging behind on the release of that. You know, what was it now? About a year ago at this time is when we got our bans.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it's something along the lines of that versus they're actually just slapping us in the face with it. But
Oh yeah, it would have been was it September of last year that the bans happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's September, I think,
this time.
Yeah.
of last year. But
Yeah, because
you know, you brought up two.
I was gonna say your blue farm list from the 2024 Invitational had Dockside in it. I was looking at your list.
Well, and I guess what I was gonna say is like you brought up two cards in particular that I think are reasonable. That being JLo and Mana Crypt. Like, I know some people still have very mixed opinions on those cards. I think they would actually be very good for the format right now. I think as much as I like Dockside because I still play Sisse and that was Dockside.deck, I think it just would not be a good thing to bring it back. It's a fun card. Like, yeah, it kind of penalizes people for trying to go faster or jamming all these value engines, and it definitely helps with like the like seat four issue. Yeah, just give seat four just nothing but dockside right off the rip. But I definitely think JLo and Mana Crypt would be good. I think it'd bring back a lot of strategies like I know that Austin over at Critical, I think he's talked recently on like trying to like put together like more of like a turbo Atraxa build. Like Atraxa is a deck that definitely like fell off as soon as the bans hit. People stopped playing Omnixless, Talion, like these four plus CMC commanders within like two colors or three or four colors that could be super viable strategies right now. It's just they're either super commander centric and it's kind of hard to turbo that out. Um, and then give some of these other decks that want to go a little bit faster, like the true mid-range decks, like a little bit more speed. I think they would. I think they would be really good, and they wouldn't be anything that like necessarily gives blue form like a tremendous boost either. Same thing, it wouldn't give like Rogsai a tremendous boost, or Kennen, or well, Kennen it might kind of having mana crypt again might be, I'm not gonna say problematic, it'd be fun, but like even like we're starting to see like even Rog Thras and like the Turbo Cradle decks start to fall off a little bit because of the turbo stuff. But even I don't know. I think that the ones you listed there are pretty fair, and I think it would open up a lot more strategy. So that's my hope as far as next year. If they are going to unban things, it's those two things for sure.
Yeah, I really do hope so. I get the inkling that Mana Crypt may not get unbanned, just because any deck that can run it probably will. But it did feel pretty bad that it was a reprint in the Lost Caverns of Ixalan with a special treatment. I had a friend that opened like one of the rainbow foils that was an expensive chase rare, and now it's a paperweight. So I mean, it still retains some value, but a fraction of what it was. But
yeah, so I mean, same thing with the Jolo at the same time because it had just come out in the Commander Masters set
true.
too.
I actually have a desk mat in the other room with the Jewel Lotus on it, and I can't even play Jewel Lotus now. So the staple card of the format for Commander is not legal in Commander, which is the most ironic to me.
Absolutely.
I remember when the initial bans got announced, everyone was complaining and kicking rocks. Man, Atalia will never be a real deck now, and boy, we were just wrong about that one, huh?
We are very wrong about that one, man. Especially since we've already talked about it here tonight. Like as far as it being one of the fastest and more prominent decks in the format, like and maybe I know you had said like even in your local scene, there's like a ton of people that have picked it up. I think that some of these decks are kind of like how Kennen was for a while, where you have a lot of numbers on it, but not a lot of like converting numbers. So I don't know. I think the format right now is just it's in a very interesting spot. I think it is still in a good spot. We don't have the whole rock paper scissors thing right now because Stacks is, even though for some reason our local meta there's a ton of Stacks players, like we see Stacks here more than we have anywhere else. It's yeah. What who all do we have? We got Blood Pod, we got Elevere,
we got yeah,
Urza,
Tiam, Urza. There is there's another deck too that I just for some reason I can't think of. Sean just picked up Arkham Dagson, and then what else is there? There's other stuff.
Yeah,
too.
just let's ban more things to hurt those
Leo
decks.
was on like a very stacksy mono green Selvala. It was just there's a lot. It's a lot. We don't have. That's the thing that's crazy about our local scene is we really don't have a lot of players playing good decks. I know that sounds kind of mean to say, but like we play fringe shit. Like Chase is the player. Like Kellen gave him a hard time because Chase would never play anything that is like not in the top 10. Because like if you just ask him, his goal is like win. Like he's like doesn't matter, win. Like I'm trying to win. And like then he finally played flubs for the first time, and he like got a taste of that fringe, and then he was like, oh yeah. But for the most part, he just plays like Sisay, Farm, Rogsai, like stuff like that, Kennen. And then the rest of us just play weird shit. Like I play Zur, and then one of my other favorite decks is like Sithis, the Enchantress thing. Like I just recently started picking up meta stuff. Again, Elevere kind of fell way off, but like we have a player that like that's pretty much the only deck he plays. Mono Green Selvala is like super common. Like I said, like Blood Pod. We have Glarb, which is still like decent, but like plays Glarb. Yeah, just like a bunch of random stuff. I think we have maybe one player that actually plays other besides Chase that also plays like high like meta stuff, and he will not stick to a deck for more than like 3 days. Like I love Joel, but like he literally played like he was playing wrong side for like 3 or 4 days and was like, this deck's so busted, it feels so good. And then he had a tournament the next day and he switched the morning of on the way down there, he switched to TNT.
Okay. Okay.
So we just have a weird local scene.
Yeah, it sounds like he's got a good palette of things that they end up playing. So, I mean, I don't know if that's like good for learning the meta or like just good for learning other decks, but within bracket 5, there's definitely a gradient of decks. Like, I think I may have heard it on Play to Win that any commander can be a cEDH commander, but just don't expect it to be the best one. Like Ob Nixilis kind of fell off the map. It's a 4-drop, right?
Yeah.
It's still playable, but we don't have anyone that has faith in it right now. So until somebody like picks it up, puts it together, and has results with it, I think that it'll probably stay dead, and those embers won't really get kicked up. Whereas, if you have sheer insurmountable people just playing farm, of course it's going to win eventually, right? Same thing with like other decks. Magda is another inevitable deck. I don't see a lot of Magda pilots anymore, but when I do, I'm scared because they're probably really good and they're diehard pilots of the deck. Arkham Daxon seeing a return. That was another really fun Paradox deck back in the day. Cast 0-drop, untap your commander, win the game. Sure, I trust you. Are you guys familiar with the Tennessee locals? Brandon, he's usually on a different deck every other event.
You're talking about yeah, we know Brandon.
Okay, he's always on some coke shit, but
that fucking guy.
Fucking Brandon.
Fucking Brandon, dude. He is a menace. He comes out of nowhere and just bullies people all the time.
Dude, he just came up to like our local scene because we just finally hosted like a decent sized cEDH event, and for us decent, like it was like 36 players, which was cool. And he fucking went like 501 in the event on Shorekai and just kicked everybody's ass. Like it was insane. Yeah, but Brandon's a great guy. He's funny. He'll comment in our Discord all the time, and he'll be like, because in that tournament, me and Chase both played against each other. And Brandon, he told me before we even like got to the event, he was like, my goal is to kill Chase with Emrakul and to kill Blake with Emrakul. He said, I want to swing with Zur, Necro, kill you, and then I think in the cookout, in the cookout, didn't he kill you with Emrakul?
Yeah, he killed me with Emrakul. It was not a fun time.
Yeah.
It was not fun. But
I haven't put him on this deck at all yet, but I'm looking forward to dying to Emrakul at some point too.
Well, I feel like we went on a random tangent about Brandon there for a second because he's becoming notorious in our scene. But you were saying something about like the Tennessee local, like the meta and things like that.
Oh yeah, they don't actually have a lot of farmers from what I've gathered over there. So they're either on other mid-range piles or just turbo decks and no farms. So it's good to see different diverse groups of folks play things. The Bama crowd, they're on a lot of rock thrash right now from what I can tell anyway, from a third person perspective. South Carolina has a lot of Kennen and rock thrash as well. the immediate Atlanta area, I think we've got maybe 4 or 5 major blue farmers, and then the rest of the meta sprinkled throughout. But it's hard to really gauge when we go to these out of state events what people are going to play, because the historical knowledge I have, that's maybe 4 or 5 months old at that point. I don't know what to expect, but I know the 3 other people in my car all playing farms, so hope we don't get paired together.
Hell yeah. Oh, well, brother, like, I think it's just so funny. Like, I don't know. CH is just so fun. I think that it's I'm just happy to see like how much the scene has grown here recently. Like it feels like I think it was Eric from Critical that said that, but he was like, we're kind of in this like weird like golden age of cEDH. And I know that cEDH encompasses a lot. I use the term TDH. Some people go, oh, it's not a thing, and I get it. But like, I think that I just basically to me that just means like people playing with like that tournament mindset or with like tournament decks. And I think that we're seeing this like big boom in that. Like people were playing cEDH for fun and play to win and like playing with power and spike feeders and people like that really pioneered that wave of like getting people into cEDH and them just having fun. And now there's like just this massive wave driving people to events. But as far as like events and stuff like that go, do you have any, I guess, like goals coming up or anything like that that you're aiming for? And I actually saw like on your profile, you just won an event. Like, was it last week or this weekend?
Oh, yeah, that was up in North Georgia. We were up at the Society of Sages playing for a cradle. This is one of the events that myself and a couple of friends went to. I think it was myself, Dev, Simon, and Alexa, and we all ended up topping the event. The top pod was, I think, 3 of us and a Magda pilot, so 3 farms in Magda. We decided to split. I just happened to be first in Swiss, and so by default, the win goes to first in Swiss. Then we went and got some dinner, and then took a long drive home. But yeah, I like traveling to events with friends, especially when we all do well. Like the vibes in the car ride home are cool. Everybody got a little bit of money. But as far as moving forward, I think we've got, like a weekly locals bronze thing going on now on Wednesdays. I think this upcoming weekend, we've got something else over at Win Condition. And then for our own event on the 16th, we've got Yap to the Future. I don't know if you guys have seen any of our stuff on Topdeck, but we got some like catchy names for the events because all I do is talk in them, and we just got that gimmick going.
Hell yeah, dude. Now, I always love asking these questions because I just love like when we have guests on the channel. These are like some of my favorite questions to ask. So are you cool if I just ask you like a couple of goofy questions?
Yeah, hit it.
Hell yeah. Do you have a favorite commander?
A singular favorite commander? I'm not sure. I like rotating, like in casual, a lot of different commanders, but I probably choose a casual commander before I choose cEDH.
Okay. Interesting.
It would be either Xenagos the Reveler or Balthor the Defiled.
Okay. This is sick.
Mono black graveyard and then Gruul combat, just something simple.
If you had to only and it's hard to explain this one, but like if you could only build around one color for the rest of your time playing Magic, like you could play other colors with it, but you could never play a deck without that color included, what would be the color and why?
I feel like this is a little bit easier to answer because prior to playing Magic, my favorite color was blue, and then through my introduction to Magic, I like playing blue. It's just the most unfair color. It bleeds so much of the color pie. Like it has flash, it has card draw. Even if you want it, it's not good, but you can take extra turns. We thought that the Archivist of Ogma sort of ability was unique to white. Well, now it's on blue. We have a Washington the bird.
Yep.
Now we have it in blue too. I think gradually blue just steals so many other things from other colors and is just a broken color. So I'll choose that one.
I got you, brother. Oh, fun. And then one of my favorite questions I love asking people is if you had to ban 2 cards in cEDH and unban 2 cards in cEDH, what would they be and why?
Let's unban first.
Okay.
Let's go with Academy. Just give me Blue Cradle. It's not that bad. I'm normal and can be trusted with it. Let's unban Paradox Engine. What's the worst that could happen? Let's get Timna out of here. I feel like Timna would probably really spice things up. It would make people think a little bit differently about their deck decisions. And then just because Kinnan, just get Kinnan out of here. You know what I mean? Like for no particular reason, but they just get away with too much. And I've been a Kinnan hater since day one. I can't switch up now.
Oh,
No
yeah.
particular reason other than fuck that guy.
Yeah, dude. That's fucking awesome. Hell yeah. Chase, do you have any other questions or anything you could think of?
No, dude. I'm good. I'm excited to see where the continuation of the format goes because I know that it's kind of you brought up so much already as far as like the avatar stuff. I know we did dive into that, but there's a lot of changes to come even within the amount of time we have left of this year that I think could have a pretty significant impact on the format. Like I know that there's a lot of good things coming out of that set, so I'm looking forward to that. And just we're just gonna keep playing some cEDH. That's what we're gonna do because regardless, we're just gonna keep adapting to it. So, Blake, you have anything for us?
Alan, do you got anything that you want to plug or anything that you can think of? Like as I guess we're wrapping up, anything fun to mention?
Thanks for having me on. It was cool talking with you guys. If you guys ever want to play some Spell Table, you can catch me over at the Atlanta Power 9 Discord. We joke about doing free coaching. Just come play some Spell Table with us, and I'll show you how to do it right.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, and we'll plug if you're good with that. Well, I don't know if do y'all try to keep it kind of local too, like the Atlanta people?
It indifferent. If you guys want to play Spell Table or anything like that, you guys are more than welcome to advertise it. But as far as like the meetups and stuff, you guys just won't be able to come to the local event. That'll be it.
Oh, good. Yeah, like I said, I'm in the Discord right now, but I didn't know if like you promoted it like open. But yeah, like if you want, we can still plug it in the video and stuff like that too, so that people.
Yeah, sure, man.
But yeah,
more than happy.
Hell yeah. Well, Chase, you got anything?
Nope, I don't have anything else, but it doesn't sound like either of you do as well. So I'm gonna wrap it up from here. So yeah. That Discord link's going to be down below. And while you're at it, go ahead and check out our Discord as well. That link will be down there because there's been some really interesting discussions going on. We have a lot of good players in there as far as those that we've had on the past few weeks and just really working on building up this community the best we can. Also, there's going to be a link there to our Patreon where you can kind of help us continue to support our efforts and what we're doing, whether that be new equipment or, whatever way it is we are trying to do here on the Casting Call cEDH podcast. So if you want to be a part of that, join our Patreon where we're expanding things on there. Also, like and comment and let us know like your thoughts on some of these discussion topics today. Because I know we kind of talked about a few things as far as, the future of the format, where it currently is, things we've been seeing, things that are kind of our hopes and where the direction is going to go on things or anything like that. So comment down below what your thoughts are on this current meta and just where you're at in your own cEDH journey. And other than that, go ahead and subscribe too, because we're still only at like 76% of the people watching our videos are subscribed to us. Crazy. I don't know why. It's free. Just go ahead and hit that button down below. So with all that being said, I'm going to reiterate it again. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always,
go play some cEDH.
Hell yeah. Take care, guys.